a very long sentence for an event like this. We gave the court about half a dozen cases with far more egregious conduct under the same statute. Most of the sentences were 1 to 2 years.
Speaking with EWTN News Nightly, the lawyer for Lauren Handy, who was sentenced on Monday for violating the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act, or the FACE Act, says the fight is not over. Handy is one of 10 demonstrators accused of obstructing a Washington, D.C. abortion clinic in October 2020. Handy received the longest sentence, 57 months, or 4 years and 9 months. 6 others received sentences ranging from 21 to 34 months behind bars. Of those, the eldest activist, 76-year-old Joan Bell, received 27 months. 74-year-old Jean Marshall Kingston, 69-year-old John Hinsaw face slightly shorter sentences. Paulette Harlow and Heather Idoni will be sentenced in the coming weeks, and Jay Smith was sentenced last August to 10 months. The Department of Justice claims the activists forcefully entered the clinic and set about blockading 2 clinic doors using their bodies, furniture, chains, and ropes. But the pro-life demonstrators say it was a rescue operation at the clinic run by a notorious abortion doctor, Cesare Santangelo, who they claim has performed partial birth abortions, a felony offense. Chris Bell, the husband of Joan Bell, joins us in studio now to talk about the sentencing and what's next. Thank you so much for being here. I'm sure that this is also an emotional moment for you. Walk us through the sentencing and how you're holding up in the midst of this.
Joan is incredibly courageous, and also we recognize from the beginning, and I met her in jail, I should start off by saying. So I knew of her commitment, and that's what really drew me to her deep love of the Lord and love of nonviolence, and a desire to save those who were most vulnerable, the babies in the womb, and to help their mothers. She started a pregnancy center, a maternity home in St. Louis a year before I started my maternity home in 1985. And I knew we would come to a day like this, and in this world, certainly in this country at this time, there's such a hatred of God and a hatred of the things of God that I know Joan's love for the children and their women and for our family also makes us realize this is really an opportunity for deep prayer and reparation.
Now, I know you said you met in jail, so this is not the first time that Joan has faced these consequences to her defense of life. What did she say to the judge when she was sentenced? Can you share that with us?
Sure. She first said, please release us so we can continue to do what the court should be doing, which is defending the innocent and the unborn. And then she went on to say that this is not a time to continue this slaughter, and that the children need to be protected, and it really is the right of the justice system to do that.
Is she, are you and she thinking that this will happen again? That she'll serve this sentence and then have to go back because of her advocacy? As
long as abortion is protected, permitted, and paid for by our tax dollars, it has to stop. So how can anybody not try to do as much as we can? So I don't know what form it will take directly, but we can't just say that it's over or she's done her time or it's time to retire. There are children that need help. And although many people don't like the analogy to the Holocaust or to slavery, but the reality is as long as they're an injustice to human beings, living, breathing human beings, and just because they're in the womb, it doesn't make them any less human. They're made in the image and likeness of God, we know that. And why can't everybody see that? And even if they don't believe in God, they certainly can believe in science, which shows us, and that's, as bad as IVF is, it shows us from the moment of conception, you have a unique, beautiful human being. And we could see now that at that first moment of conception, there's a light that goes out. And it was explained to me, it's a little radiation. And it's like talking about the light of life. I mean, it's so beautiful that we can observe this right now and see it in real time. And can't everybody understand that we all started that way, every single one of us. So
that intrinsic value.
Yeah.
Tell us about this particular abortion clinic. It was notorious for the type of abortions happening there. What moved Joan and those advocating alongside her to take these steps at this particular clinic?
You may have seen the live action undercover video that Lila Rose did several years ago, which had this abortionist tell a prospective pregnant woman who was pleading with him, if the baby happened to be born and was still breathing, what would you do? And he said very coldly, very calmly and antiseptically, well, if you were in a hospital, they would have to treat that child. But you're here. We would take care of it. We would just leave it alone. Meaning that a living, breathing, born child would be allowed to die in his office. And he said as if that's as normal and natural, because that's what he does. He only does third trimester abortions. And all abortions are bad at any stage, but to just focus on babies who are they could all survive outside the womb, and he just doesn't want to see that and doesn't do that. It's so cruel, and he's in such a darkness. So we pray for him. We pray for the assistants who work with him to continue this murder, and anybody who supports it. And that's what we saw at the judiciary and the prosecutor. They just kept saying, you're blocking women from getting reproductive health services. There was nothing reproductive going on. These women were pregnant. And the videos that they showed to convict them, there are pregnant women, visibly pregnant women. And the judge even said at the end, you showed them no mercy and no kindness and no compassion. One woman was on the floor, and she obviously was in pain. She may have been in labor. And one of our pro-life friends went to the abortionist and said, could you call 911? And her response was, there's no emergency here except you. And she closed the reception window. And one of the, Paulette Harlow, one of the rescuers, who is a nurse, it was actually Jeannie Marshall, her sister, went over to her and tried to calm her down and tell her to sit down quietly. And they were trying to call 911, but the police came and removed them. And the woman did eventually get forced in to have her child terminated. So there was nothing healthy for her. She'll live with that the rest of her life, as women do. And
yes,
as fathers do also. We're trying to prevent the tragedy to continue.
Now, the FACE Act is the law that was used to convict these the rescues and the rescuers. What are you thinking is going to come next with the FACE Act? Is it possible that that it could be changed, that there's advocacy that would be possible to get rid of this law?
Well, I'm hoping that some of the attorneys, Joan went pro se because she said the babies aren't represented here, so I am not going to have a representative here. And she was quiet throughout the trial. She did try to make an opening statement and a closing statement and was refused by the judge. But I'm hoping some of the attorneys will appeal this, because this was based on a Supreme Court decision which no longer exists, Roe v. Wade. And I also hope some members of Congress will have the intestinal fortitude to take it away and remove the FACE Act, an act they never should have permitted, because they did it to prevent other people from rescuing. Because normally when you either blockade a clinic or sit in, you're charged with trespassing, which is a much minor offense. But there shouldn't be any offense at all. You're trying to help women not do something that they will regret the rest of their life and save the babies' lives.
Well, Chris, we will be joining you in prayer for your wife and for the rest of those who are going to suffer through these sentences, and that your prayers are answered in the fortitude that you're requesting of Congress and of the other lawyers. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Marcy.